Hello, this is hashtag Swim Sparkle 2K Greats instructional podcast on how to make fried chicken. First, you're going to have to gather all the stuff you'll need to make fried chicken. The things you'll need are a frying pan with 2 to 3 inch deep sides, a knife to cut the chicken, either a spatula or tongs to turn and handle the chicken in the pan, 3 plates, paper towels, a bowl, boneless, skinless chicken breasts that you would want to cut into 3 to 4 inch pieces ahead of time, 2 to 3 eggs, all-purpose flour, panko breadcrumbs, and vegetable oil and Crisco for the frying of the chicken. And those are all the things you need to make fried chicken. Once you have all the things, the items needed to make the fried chicken, to set up, what you're going to need to do is take 2 plates in the bowl that you've gathered, and in one of the plates put flour to cover the plate because this will be to bread the chicken. Then the bowl, you'll crack the eggs and slightly beat them so that'll be the egg wash, and then last will be the panko breadcrumb plate so that you'll roll the chicken in. Also, you're going to want to put enough oil in the pan so that there's an inch of oil setting in the bottom of the frying pan on the stove. And you're also going to want to set up the resting plate for the chicken, which is after it's fried, you're going to want to put the chicken on a plate that's covered in paper towels so that the grease can soak into the paper towels instead of soaking into the chicken so that it stays crispy. And once you have this kind of assembly line set up, you're ready to start the cooking process. All right, the first step in actually cooking the chicken is you're going to want to heat up the oil in the frying pan. You're going to allow it to heat up on the stovetop on medium-high, and this should only take about 2 to 3 minutes. If the oil starts to smoke, it's getting too hot, so you don't want the oil to smoke. It'll just heat up a little bit so that when you drop the chicken in, it'll be bubbling, it'll make a sizzling. Your assembly line that you've set up, 1 plate with flour, then the egg wash, and then the panko plate. This is the order that you're going to coat the chicken. So you take 1 piece of chicken at a time, the 3 to 4 inch pieces that you've cut up already, and you'll coat it in flour, and then dip it in the egg wash, and then roll it in the panko. Now your hands will get a little bit dirty during this part, but it's normal, it's fine. Make sure the coated pieces of chicken, you can drop them one by one into the frying pan as they're coated. And then the chicken, once it's in the pan, they should remain in the pan until crispy and brown on the outside. And you should make sure you're tending the chicken, turning it with the tongs so that all sides get cooked and browned the same amount. The oil will be sizzling and popping while the chicken's in the pan as you're adding all the more chicken to it. So you have to be careful not to get burned by the popping oil. If it's popping too much or you're uncomfortable with the amount of oil popping, you need to just turn the heat down and make sure you're keeping a careful watch over the chicken so it doesn't burn and the oil isn't popping too much. So after the pieces of chicken are brown and ready to be taken out of the pan, you'll take them out with either the tongs or the spatula and place them on the resting plate that you set up earlier. Make sure for the first couple of pieces that you cut it in half or cut open the pieces to make sure that they're fully cooked. It shouldn't be a problem if they're brown on the outside, but just to make sure. And the meat on the inside should be white. If it is still pink, then it hasn't cooked enough, and you need to cook it some more. And you'll keep that in mind for the rest of the pieces of chicken that you'll be cooking. This process of the coating the chicken, putting it in the pan, letting it fry, and then letting it rest should continue until all of the chicken has been fried. You may need to set up additional resting plates if your first resting plate fills up with chicken, because the chicken should only be in 1 layer on the resting plate. If they get in more than 1 layer, then the chicken will get greasy and will not be as good or crispy later on. And all that's left to do is clean up after you fried all your chicken. Make sure you dispose of the hot oil carefully. It can be dumped down the sink, but after it cools. And make sure to throw away all the leftover flour that you've been coating in and egg wash and breadcrumbs, and clean up the surfaces, and then you're ready to eat fried chicken. Thanks for listening to our podcast on how to make fried chicken by hashtag Swim Sparkle 2K Great.